The United States may have just neutralized Iran's most powerful geopolitical weapon. And no, I am not talking about missiles. I am talking about something far more dangerous, sitting beneath the surface, invisible, and vital to the modern world. Washington tried to negotiate, but they weren't facing a normal partner. They were facing the Revolutionary Guard. The list the IRGC brought was not a roadmap to peace, it was a coercion package. At the top were familiar demands, freedom of passage and sanctions relief. But the real threat sat lower in the stack. The real threat was not about oil, it was about 17 systems of underwater fiber optic cables. Together, they carry 30% of global internet traffic across one of the most important digital bridges on Earth. Every second, 3 billion people depend on these links for banking, AI workloads, and global communications. This is true hybrid warfare, systemic pressure on the infrastructure modern civilization cannot function without. Iran knows it cannot defeat the US conventionally. Fast boats do not beat destroyers. So they attack the system that makes force useful. Even the most powerful military depends on digital infrastructure. Undersea cables are the perfect asymmetric weapon, low cost, massive reach, and difficult to attribute. A single mine or dragging anchor can cause damage that radiates far beyond any physical battlefield. Most people don't realize that 97% of international data travels through physical fiber on the ocean floor. These cables are buried shallow. There is no backup system. Satellites cannot absorb this scale of bandwidth. The world's network has two dangerous choke points, the Red Sea corridor and the Strait of Hormuz. In 2024, a dragging anchor in the Red Sea severed multiple cables. Repairs took months, proving how fragile the system is. Now look at Hormuz. Every major cable connecting the Gulf states to the global internet passes through this narrow gap. Routing around Iran isn't the same as being safe. The IRGC only needs access to the water to pose a threat. With submarines, mines, and divers, they don't need a public declaration. They only need plausible deniability. The Falcon and Gulf Bridge networks are not side routes. They are the operational backbone of an entire digital economy. The Gulf is positioning itself as a digital superhub, but this expansion assumes connectivity is resilient. Microsoft, Google, and Nvidia are building here on that assumption. Take away the cables, and that strategic value collapses. A data center without connectivity isn't a regional hub. It is an isolated shell. This is digital isolation. India's westbound traffic relies heavily on these corridors. Its entire digital export economy would come under pressure. This wouldn't just be a local disruption, it would be a systemic shock to global banking and market stability. Data centers are energy hungry. If you remove connectivity, the business model for digital expansion simply stalls. Repairs are the nightmare. There are only 60 repair ships globally, and they cannot operate freely in war zones. A cut cable becomes a strategic denial problem. Repairs could take over a year in the worst conditions. Scenario 1. The threat alone freezes investment and delays the Gulf's AI ambitions for years. Scenario 2. Targeted sabotage creates severe pressure and deep instability for months across the data bridge. Scenario 3. Full digital warfare. A dual choke point strike could cost the global economy billions in the first week. New land-based alternatives are being built, but they are years away. Right now, the plug is vulnerable. The connectivity of 3 billion people depends on whether Tehran decides to reach beneath the water. Even without cutting lines, Iran can use mines. The real power of a mine isn't the explosion, it's the uncertainty. Once doubt enters the water, traffic slows and risk goes up. That is the psychological math of asymmetric war. For decades, we worried about oil. Now, the data flowing beneath the water matters just as much. If those cables break in a war zone, they stay broken. Access itself becomes the battlefield. The question isn't capability. The geography and doctrine are already there. The question is, can anyone stop it? The next global disruption may not come from the sky. It may come from a cable no one sees until it is gone.